What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Mindy's character in Scream 2022. I've been doing these character breakdowns, kind of just talking about really the character and almost every scene they were in the film and how I feel about that character. And I've done it for most of the characters at this point in Scream 2022. We're kind of wrapping it up, and one of the last characters I haven't talked about yet has been Mindy. And Mindy's a tough one, and it's a tough one, and I don't even know where I'm going to go in this video. There's very little planning, with these videos, but I'm going to kind of talk myself through it. I would say initial thoughts, both when I saw it the first time and when I saw it the second time, and thinking about her right now, I definitely overall enjoyed her character. I think there's nothing glaringly bad whatsoever. I think she fills the role she's supposed to fill. I guess the thing is this, and man, when I did the rankings, I don't think I put her like in the top tier, and I still really don't think I would. She's definitely, she's a good actress. She's good in her role, but she fills the very, at this point, and I don't mean this as a negative, but I guess actually I do kind of mean this as a negative, the stereotypical Randy role. She literally is Randy, and I would say this, right? Because I've seen kind of like an arc go on with people's thought process of her, right? And I think I actually am kind of in a similar vein. I think the first time I saw the movie, I definitely liked her. I still think I like her now. I liked her monologue. I think her monologue of explaining the requels is actually really, really good. One of the better scenes in that film. Beyond that one scene, though, I don't think she's amazing really in any of the others, except for watching, Scream 1 or Stab play out, right, with Randy and her realizing she was basically in it. I thought that was actually a very, very cool moment. I guess I also liked her basement scene with Amber. I think that was a really good one as well. But obviously the standout moment of the movie with her was the explaining what a requel is, not a sequel, not a reboot, and going through all of that. But the thing is this, and this is just a personal thing for me, and the only reason I'm going to bring this character up is because of this comparison, really no other reason, is you bring in Kirby, right? Kirby was also a pretty similar version of Randy, but I would say, man, there's only been a couple iterations of Randy as a character, right? There's very, very few. In this movie, in Scream 2022, there were, I would say, my opinion, too many characters that were acting like Randy. Maybe not even necessarily acting like Randy, but acting like they knew too much. Now, there is a fine line, okay, and I don't have to keep backtracking and I have to keep explaining what I mean, but I just want to make everything very, very clear for you guys for how I feel about it. I like the fact that in these movies, characters are smarter than the average character in another horror movie, okay? I'm not asking that we get one smart character in a Randy-esque role and then everybody else is an idiot, okay? I'm not asking for that at all. It just seemed like in this film, there was too many people literally being Randy, and I mean that as being too... Well, okay, obviously Mindy was the most self-aware, and I guess that is the main trait of Randy, but Chad exhibited some, elements. I would argue Richie did as well, and I would also argue Wes did. Now, Wes was the more practical person, right? And that you could chalk up Wes's understanding of how to survive these things to his mom, right? The fact that his mom's a sheriff and he was probably, she probably kept him in the loop and trained him in terms of okay, here's what you do in this circumstance, right? I think that made very, it made movie sense that he knew what he knew, okay? But I feel like, and this is honestly, again, maybe a criticism of Mindy, and not even because of her, because there were almost too many characters that were self-aware, and because Nav Sydney is always pretty self-aware, right? Just in general, Gale and Dewey to various extents as well, but Sydney always seems to be in all of these movies for the most part. So when you have too many characters like that, I think it waters down that awareness role, which is Randy. Okay, again, Randy was known as the person to explain the rules, but, and the thing, I guess, again, what people are bringing up when it comes to Mindy, and then when you compare it to, Kirby, I think Kirby had more of, a character around her, whereas Mindy didn't, and I think that could be fixed, and I think, honestly, for something like Mindy and a character like Mindy, unlike when we talk about Richie, when we talk about Wes, right? I've said how much I like them, and even for, a Wes or Liv, I've said I really, really like their characters, and I wish they would have lived longer or maybe made it to the next movie, because I think there's more you could have done there. But tragically, the way that it is, I don't know if I can put them too high on any kind of character list, right? Because they're not in it enough. They're not in it at all, almost, right? And they die, so you can't even continue that character arc in future movies. Now, again, the thing I think Mindy has to her advantage is you've established her as the stereotype, which again comes off as negative, and in a way it is, but you also now can have, you know, more to her character, which I pray that they do in the next film. You need to have her being aware and explaining things, but you also need to have a little bit more personality and just a person behind it. And I don't really think they captured it all that well in this movie. Now, again, to kind of give her a little bit of credit, or to like not be too harsh on her, again, they had things working against her where she's not in it a lot. Now, if you recall back, and I've said this actually a couple times before, Randy, you know, I think we all know like every single scene Randy is in, and that's because he's really not in these movies 1 and 2, and obviously one scene in 3. He's not in them all that much. I think he's got like 5 or 6 scenes in the entirety of Scream 1, and really he's got maybe the same in Scream 2. They're just a little bit longer, right? So he kills it. He crushes it. Jamie Kennedy is awesome, and he crushes it in every scene he's in, but he's not in it a lot. So I want to say that, I guess, also to not bag too much on Mindy, where it's like we all have such fond memories of Randy, and then you think to it, and you're like, oh yeah, he's actually not in the movie much at all either, just like Mindy is. So I don't want to hold it too much against her because she's not the main character. Those obviously go to Sam and Tara, and those two need to be very solid rocks. Otherwise, the whole film, obviously, right, is just not going to work. I think there's still more to be done with a character like Mindy, and I think they had a pretty I would say this, very solid foundation, okay? You have all the right pieces. You have her kind of having some spunk, some personality behind the explanation of what's going on. You have the cool, you know, her to Randy through the TV to her in real life, replaying basically the same moment. Like, that was cool, right? So you have a good foundation, and now you need to, I think, enhance it a little bit in the next one. And again, you can make her, because I guess what I'm saying is, I don't know, well, the thing is, would they ever kill somebody like that off, right? And the answer is, well, it depends, right? Because they killed Randy, but everybody's kind of admitted that was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. So then you bring in Kirby for 4, and then you kill her, kind of, and you know, but you could bring her back. That's the thing too, right? If you bring back Hayden Panettiere, which you could, maybe you don't, but maybe you could, you'd have 2 of the same roles again, and you already have Chad, who's a lesser version of Mindy. I really think actually Chad hurts Mindy the most, maybe even Wes, but again, Wes I think has that practicality and you understand how he has it, but Chad and Mindy are too similar, while also like Chad just not being engaging enough at all. So I do think one of them has to go in the next one, and I don't think it's gonna be Mindy, but again, I think that's an opportunity for Mindy to go through stuff. Actually, one final thing I will say, I want to see stuff like that, right? Because we've talked so much about ramifications for deaths, these characters going through things. And I think they've even talked about, either the directors or writers of Scream 2022. No, you know what? I think it was the people who made MTV's, the showrunners of MTV's Scream, where they talked about how you don't have time and you don't really focus on it all that much in movies. Yes, that's true in terms of characters feeling for the person who died. That's true, but I don't think that's actually a good thing. I don't think that's a strength of the Scream franchise. I actually think it's a weakness. So right now, you could have Chad go through something internally from losing Liv, and then you could have Mindy go through something internally eventually if she loses Chad. And I hope you can play that out, and I hope it works. And I think it could. Obviously, they just need to do it right. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere else, all my social media, including my Patreon and YouTube memberships, are in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next Scream video.